I'm actually remembering to do another video, so it's going well. I feel like I'm always going to be apologising for something in my videos, but sorry for the poor lighting. If I didn't have the poor lighting, I wouldn't have got around to doing a video, so I went shopping today and I've gotten really good at not actually spending money when I go shopping, but today I was like, it's okay, you're going to Bristol. I knew that I'd be going to Forbidden Planet with my friend Beth, who has a great YouTube channel which I'll link down below. We actually got a collaboration video coming out soon, so look out for that. But yeah, so we went to Forbidden Planet and I was thinking in my head, okay, like allow yourself to buy one thing. Which I did, which ended up being a Jigglypuff hat, which cost way too much, but I love it. But then because I spent on, oh dear, and I spent on lunch as well, I thought, well, I'm spending now. So I'll let myself get one book as well, which led to 4. They are Cecilia Ahern Flawed. Can't say her name. Cecilia Ahern. Yeah. Flawed, which is meant to be really good. The reason I got this is because she's coming to the Bath Children Literature Festival. Beth, who I went with, Book's Nest is a big fan of hers, and so I'm going to go with her to the talk. And so I wanted to have a read of one of her books just so I could get very excited and fangirl myself. The next is the Thousand Floor, which basically is Gossip Girl but sci-fi. I mean, it's the author who wrote Gossip Girl, so. And then I hadn't heard of those except for through Beth. I hadn't heard of this one before, but it sounds really good. It says, in every generation on the island of Fernburn, there's a set of triplets is born, 3 queens. To find out who's going to become queen, they have to like fight to the death. So they're just thrown into Hunger Games from birth. And it said whose side you want. Apparently there's 3 different colours, and it's the same book, but you have 3 different colours to choose which queen is your favourite. But there was only the red one as an option in Asda, which is fine though, because I think I probably would have chosen that one anyway. And then lastly, this isn't something I really would have picked for myself. Beth has read it and said it was good. It's called Fangirl. I've started reading it, which is bad because when we get to the actual book review that I'm doing, there is actually one last book in the series and I haven't started that one, but I think if I don't start this one it will just sit on my shelf and then I'll keep putting it off because I don't think I'm going to like it. So I'm glad I started reading it already because I'm only like 20 pages in or something, but I am enjoying it, which is surprising. But that is not why we've made this video. If I was organised I would have gone and got my books, but I haven't, so please hold on. If you've watched my last video, you will know that I bought the Lunar Chronicles series, which begins with Cinder, then goes to, I think this one's Scarlet, then Cress, and then as an extra, this one got published next, which was Fairest, and then Winter, which I just finished, and then there's an extra one with all the extra characters called Stars Above. But it's basically all the fairy tales mixed into a sci-fi world, and oh, I mean, I love fairy tales, I love sci-fi, I loved it. First one was Cinder, and again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but if you see my last video you'll know that I wasn't overly impressed with this when I first read it. I read it pretty quickly, like easy to read. Oh my god, I have a bug on my book. Yeah, I wasn't that impressed with it. Like, it was really quick to read and that was fine. And it was enjoyable, but it was just so predictable. And I think you could kind of tell that from her writing that it was her debut novel, which is fine. But yeah, I wasn't overly keen. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like rushing to get the next ones. And then when I was in America, I saw the other ones, and so I got the next 2, so I just finished my book. And I ended up reading them really quickly, so then I went back to the store and got the rest. Fine. Also, I mean, look how pretty they all are. Their covers are amazing, so to have the whole series, I did need to get it because they all match so well and they're just so pretty. But anyway, first of all was Cinder. The story of Cinderella mixed with sci-fi is great, but it wasn't the typical story, which is nice. It has I wouldn't say planet because it's the moon. It's called Luna, but people live on it, and like, so there's Earth and there's Luna, and it's run by Queen Livana, I think, who is the main bad not spoiler. So there's that whole aspect, there's that story, and that's what the whole series is based upon, really, is this whole, but the whole relationship between Earth and Luna, which is very different, and obviously that's how it shows it's not just a story of Cinderella, it's the story of Cinderella fitting into that world and then bringing loads of these other ones along the way and all mixing them together to make this great story, and it's good. So then I went on to Scarlet, which is the story of Red Riding Hood, which I really like actually because I've read a few adaptations of that story, and I did fairy tales. I did a fairy tale module in uni. Red Riding Hood was one of the many adaptations we really read about, so it's kind of nice for me to see another version. When I first started reading it, I did think the main character was very similar to Cinder's character. I mean, they're both kind of sarcastic, strong and independent, which is great, like a great female character. But they did kind of seem similar for what I remembered. But then as I read on and Cinder's story came back into it and her voice comes back into it, then I kind of could tell the difference between them, and that was fine. I think the thing with these books, because I sometimes don't like the writing as much, it can be a bit cliched. It is the characters that drive them, because really, she hasn't taken the characters from the fairy tale. I mean, she has taken the characters from the fairy tales, but she's made them her own, really, and really modern, really well, really. Yeah, but she has. She's taken the characters and she's made them modern and she's made them her own, and I think it's the characters you really fall in love with, so it doesn't matter that sometimes the writing can be cliched, because one, you can still see exactly what she means, and two, you're going to carry on reading because you want to know what happens to each character, and you want to read their story, even if you think you know what's going to happen, even if it is predictable in some places, you still enjoy it. Obviously the wolf is in it, and he's called Wolf, just in case we didn't get that. No, but he is that typical bad guy trying to be good character, kind of like a Damon Salvatore maybe you'd say, but we all love that character. I thought it was a good hook with the grandma. It's not a spoiler. Basically, when you first are introduced to Scarlet, you realise that her grandmother, who people of her town call Crazy, has been missing, and she believes that she's been taken or something's wrong or whatever. So that's a good hook. It's a nice different way to show her journey to her grandmother, trying to find her grandmother, trying to find out what happened to her grandmother, without going across the traditional sense. So yes, I like that. The good thing as well about the second book is the story became more complex because more characters are added, and then also they've got to try and entwine their stories. When we first hear about Cinder again in the second book, it's through Scarlet's opinion, which is interesting, and the Outer World's opinion. So I like that. The initial introductions to the character of Castle Thorn, I find it weird. Like, I couldn't get to grips I couldn't picture him clearly straight away. I kind of thought he was older than he turned out to be. Once, you know, I read him the next chapter and then carried on and I realised, oh, he's actually younger and all this. Then I got his character so clearly, and actually he was one of my favourites. I was just the initial introduction to him, I just didn't really get his character that strongly. But then when you do, he's an awesome character. My camera keeps doing this thing, which you'll see in another video. I have to end it because I didn't realise it's cut everything off, and it cuts out after 20 minutes and I don't realise, and I just carry on talking. I continue talking to the last book and I have just realised that it's only got me talking about the second book, Scarlet. Is it really annoying? But anyway, we're going to continue. So what's next? Cress. I loved her character. Oh, I've already said all this. It's so annoying that I have to repeat myself. I'm trying to remember when like 20 minutes is up. That's bad that I can just talk for 20 minutes straight and not even realise. Obviously most of it probably gets cut out. Anyway. Yeah, I like her character. Kind of reminded me of the version of Disney's Tangled, because they kind of show her, if you watch Tangled, she kind of gets that little look in her eye, kind of like, she just looks a bit erratic and a bit, I don't know, I mean she's been locked up in a tower for her whole life, so it makes sense. And this is kind of the same, like, she kind of is a bit, well, she's very socially awkward, but I like it. She's very shy and she tries to be brave, but she doesn't really, I mean, she's never had to be brave. She's never had to put herself in any sort of situation except for being in a spaceship stuck between Earth and Luna and just doing what she's told. So I really liked how it was told, and I liked how she always would link everything back to what she'd seen, like on the net screens or whatever. And I also liked that in order to try and be brave, she would put herself in like an acting thing, because I mean, if she's stuck on a spaceship by herself, she is gonna, and she's just watching telly, yeah, she's probably gonna practice acting, and I like that. So she's pretending to be one of the characters she's been watching her whole life, but now she gets to put it into play because she's finally spoilers, not really a spoiler, she's finally out of the spaceship. So I really liked her character. And also introduced in this book is the character of Jackin Clay, who I liked his introduction because he kind of just gives a really funny comment. I didn't really realise he was going to be one of the main characters, but he ends up being a very big character. So I liked his introduction as well. Cannot speak. Then I read Fairest, which is not the 4th book, but it is the 4th one that was published. And this is Lavanna's story. It kind of bugged me that I read this in the middle, just because it took me away from the action and the story I was already reading and, you know, excited with. But it was good. It's like, it shows why she is like she is, and you understand and you kind of pity her, but you still see her as the villain, which I like, because I don't like finding out about the villain and then sympathising. I mean, I do like sympathising with the villains, but for this story and for this case, I still needed to see her as very evil and needing to be, you know, challenged, and we like needed to try and start a revolution against her, basically. So I liked that. I still felt that. So although I understood why she was doing things and what her mind worked like, it was still bad. Like, she's still evil. And then we have this one with the pretty cover. I mean, they all got a pretty cover, but I love this one. It's the biggest and it's great, and it's Snow White. It's great. This character I think I like the most. She doesn't use her lunar power. If you have lunar powers, you can like manipulate people, unless they're shells. It's all in the story, so it's great. But she doesn't use her lunar power, so she's actually gone a bit cray-cray. And it was so interesting to read how she wrote that. Like, how she wrote a crazy person but still very smart and with it. It's just someone struggling with it. And in the book it says how everyone like sort of falls in love with her and wants to protect her and all this. And I felt it, like she was a great character. She literally made me feel what it was saying that everyone else felt in the book, and it was good. And also, obviously, it's the last book, so it brings all of the characters in and all of the action in and big twists, and oh, it's so good. Although I did get annoyed at one point, which I thought, I don't want to give anything away in case you're going to start at the beginning, but there's something that it leads up to, and that's a dramatic moment, and then we get to it, and then it's suddenly like, well, actually it's this next thing that's more dramatic, but that hasn't really been mentioned before. It's kind of like, I thought this was the big massive moment, and it was still very dramatic and those things happened, but then it was suddenly like, but it's this that's the real moment, and that was kind of annoying. It was good, very good. And then that was the end of the series, and yes, and I just once I finished I was kind of like, oh, what do I do, because I was reading them so quickly and I haven't read a series and got obsessed with it in a while. And I was finding it quite inspiring as well, which is nice. And now I don't have one to obsess over. But yes, so next I'm reading Fangirl, but after I finish that I will read Stars Above. So I don't know whose stories it has. I've had a look at the first page. I'm pretty sure the grandmother story gets told. I'm hoping Wolf's story gets told because I like him, but I think Castle Thorne's previous story gets told, which is very exciting. I do love a bit of Thorne. But yeah, basically everyone's, just any extra bits that we get to, any extra bits about our characters that can be shared are shared in this book. So I am excited and I am going to read it really quickly. I will read that next, although I haven't read Cursed Child still, so maybe I'll read it after that. I'll read it soon. But yeah, I don't think this one, I'm not going to do a review on just this, because this is just all the little extra bits because of the strong characters that we love so much. People want more. But that is it. If you like these book reviews I'm trying, then please let me know, because then I will review the other ones I read. I'm really enjoying it, but I was also going to think about doing film reviews. So if you like this, it's probably very similar. It's just going to be rambling on, but about a film. So if you like it, let me know, and then I will think about doing it for film reviews as well. I'm probably going to do it anyway, because I'm a graduate and I'm unemployed right now and I have nothing else better to do. But yeah, I want to get more regular with the videos and putting up, which is working at the moment. Second video in like, not a month maybe, but it hasn't been a year, so I'm doing better than I have been previously. But yeah, so let me know what you think. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye! There was a bit different, well, there was a main thing very different. There's this whole,